the unprecedented loss of our natural resources has actually limited the ability of our land to produce food sustainably. They said that we need 60% of forests in order for our island to be functioning sustainably. The natural forest actually helps us provide the basic needs in order for people to live. The air that we breathe in, the water that we drink, and of course the food that we're going to eat. And because land has been consumed by agriculture, that a lot of people has to be fed every day, that we have resorted to ways where we have to maximize the use of the land to produce food. Sometimes when we do this, and in most cases actually, we have been using systems that depletes the soil from the natural nutrients that it needs to keep on producing food sustainably. It has extracted the water resources that will actually keep the systems going, and that we have depleted the ability of the soil to maintain and supply regularly the food that human needs. We have to come up with ways to produce food even in a small space and maximize the production wherein the food that needs to supply the billions of people on Earth. The Philippines as an archipelago is made up of fragments of different islands that has unique biodiversity for each island or groups of islands. For example, the island that we are in, Negros, only has species that are only found here and nowhere else in the world. And the functions of that species is interrelated with the plants where they are living in. So the forest has a major function in order to keep that system going. The forest is a very diverse ecosystem. Within a small space, you can actually find many different kinds of plants and animals, fungi, even the macroinvertebrates. And with that small space and with that such diversity, it is able to maintain that and sustain that for a long time. And it will survive even without people intervening or putting in resources. It just goes on. And with this function, it is something that we can translate into a food production. So imagine if we have a system that is like following that of the forest. We mimic that type of system in the forest, but we are producing food sustainably. And we don't even have to put in a lot of input. It just have to go on and feed the people with little input and producing food the natural way. What is actually good about this is you let nature take care of itself. That is what food forest is all about. You can leave this here so that it will just grow naturally, and you just wait for time for harvest, and then it will continue. So you have a steady food supply the natural way. If you look at the forest, it's actually made up of many layers. You would have the canopy. So these are the tallest part of the trees, the tallest part of the forest. These are the trees that makes up the bigger part of that forest. And you would have the sub-canopy. You would have the understory layer. These are the trees that are growing beneath the canopy trees. You would have the herb layer or the ground layer. And this is where you will see your taro, your ferns, your herbaceous plants. And then you would have the ground layer where you have the fungi, the group of, and the root system. But if you take a look at the trees, for example, you can actually see climbing vines or those that are epiphytic. And so if you take a look at the plants that lives or the diversity in that small space, and with that different layers, you can cram in as many plants as you can. And these are produced and maintained sustainably all year round. So with a canopy that shelters the understory and then the herb layer and then the root layer, and you would have a system that is sustainable and maintained whole year round. So the basic element to this is keeping the soil nutrient rich, because without a nutrient rich soil, you won't be able to maintain that type of diverse ecosystem. So the function or the way the food forest has to be constructed should make sure that the nutrient is always, the soil is always maintained, so that it will be able to come up or support that different layers of a forest type structure. We are losing a lot of forest, and we are losing a lot of our biodiversity. And if you take a look at the people that are growing, the population that is growing, we need to feed people every day. And in order for us to live longer on Earth, we need to keep our wilderness. We need to keep our natural resources intact. We need to maintain those ecosystems in order for us to have a regular supply of clean water, in order for us to have clean air to breathe, and for a sustainable production of food to feed us, billions of people. There is so much space available. The land that we have, we can maximize the production of food that will actually benefit biodiversity. So it's not just only producing and making sure that you get out something from that land, but it's actually contributing to the biodiversity of the area. May you be living in an urban system or in an agricultural place or a place like this, closer to nature. But then, if you take a look at the joy that this brings to a person, that is something that for me is different, because when you see that the agricultural practices is actually sustainable, you would know that this farmer will not cut another patch of forest to clear for agriculture, because you already have enough. You can actually maximize the production of that space without further destructing nature. And you can actually help by keeping your farm diverse, that will allow the more species to actually inhabit that area. So you not only help produce the food sustainably and the natural way, you actually help biodiversity. I'm Lisa Paguntalan. I'm a biologist, and I am proud to be part of Terra Madre 2020. Our food, our planet, our future.